You're right to go, Jo.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, beautiful souls. I'm excited about today's Wisdom Circle topic. We're gathering here in a circle to explore something that lives within all of us, I believe. Yet so often it's silenced by the noise of the outside world, and that's our inner authority. So today we're talking about awakening that inner authority and stepping into your true power, which is such a beautiful topic and close to my heart because it's what I teach all women to step into. So I would love to start by each of you, all of our panelists here, all of our Wisdom Circle panelists, to just share a little bit about themselves and what they do in the world so that you get a flavour of what we're about to experience. So I will pick on somebody to start. How about we start with you, Gayle?
Hi there, Jo. Hi, everybody. I'm Gayle. I'm a life strategist and I help people create a purpose-driven, profitable business because you don't have to sacrifice your soul to make money. And,
Mm.
and I've been doing that for quite a while now, and I do it through business archetypes so that you can know your strengths and your weaknesses because people try and stay away from their weaknesses. But when you embrace your weaknesses and help them become your strengths, then you're unstoppable.
I love that. Thank you, Gail. Laura.
Yes. So my name is Laura, and I am a BFRB and habit coach. BFRB stands for body focused repetitive behaviors, such as hair pulling, skin picking, nail biting. That's what I specialize in. But the strategies that I use can be applied to any unwanted behavior because it's all about getting to the dysregulation underneath the behavior rather than trying to use band-aid strategies to cover it up.
Oh, I love that. I love that. How many of our behaviors are we're always trying to uncover and discover where the root comes from, right? That's beautiful, Laura.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sallyann.
Thank you very much, Jo. Lovely to be here. My name is Sallyann Joy. I help people remember who they are. We come in, before we come in here, we come from a place where we're totally empowered and we are light and we are fully connected to oneness. And when we come in here, because of the beliefs, societal beliefs and conditioning and the heaviness of the 3D matrix, we forget who we are. So I help people remember who they are and step back into their power. I'm an accredited quantum consciousness facilitator with the Institute for Quantum Consciousness, and I've been taking people on a journey for some time, assisting them to remember who they are, and also have a background in, I'm a qualified counselor, Reiki master, meditation teacher, energetic healer. And so my passion is in supporting people to remember who they are and connect and live in their authenticity. Thank you very much, Jo.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. And I've actually experienced one of Sally Ann's consciousness sessions. What is it? Say it again. Oh, she's on mute.
Quantum consciousness,
Quantum
consciousness
consciousness.
sessions,
That's the
yeah.
one. And absolutely phenomenal. I went places that I'd never been before. And I've done a lot of work. I've done a lot of past life work as well. And it was absolutely beautiful. And it reminds me, I need to give you a feedback for that because that was a beautiful session. Who
Right.
have we? Stephanie, last but not least. There she is.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be in this wisdom circle. Stephanie, I'm calling in from California. I'm an author, a speaker, and in my solopreneur route, I'm a community gatherer. I really like to talk about cultivating confidence. That's really my area of expertise. My audiences tend to be folks in the STEM profession. That's my background as well. And so it can be a really challenging career pathway, but I'm very passionate about promoting more women in the sciences. So I'm happy to be here and talk about just all of our experiences together. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's going to be one beautiful conversation. I can feel the energy already. And we're here as part of the Sacred You community, sacredyou.love community. So if you're watching and you have any questions for these beautiful ladies, please drop them in the comments and we will address them if we can as we go or throughout the after the session. So okay, let's get started. So when I say inner authority, I mean that deep knowing that your inner compass, that voice that says, this is who I am, this is what feels true to me, and this is the path I choose, right? When I say that, what what comes up for you? I would love to know, and please just jump in if you're feeling that it resonates when we talk about that.
I'll start if you like.
Great. Thanks, Gayle.
I remember when I was really young and I came home from school one day and my mother was entertaining a group of friends on the veranda and they were all women and they were just sitting around chatting, talking, complaining, trying to figure out who was to blame for something in their life and what was going on. I wasn't really listening because I was just there for the food. But as I was hearing them speak, I was starting to get visions in my mind and solutions would come in for them. So I thought, as a 10-year-old, these adults would want to know these solutions, surely. So I passed them on. These were clues for their own journey. And so as I passed them on, they would just look at me and say, well, what would you know? You're just a child. However, it turned out that I was usually right. And that was an indicator of my inner authority, what was to come for me, because I was a spiritual counselor for over 20 years, helping people find the clues in their own journey so that they can live a life they love. So I think it starts young, but often you don't recognize it until it's later. It's an inner knowing. And it's a
Yeah.
craft too.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's obviously led you into the work that you do today, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So what else, what comes up for when I say inner authority, that deep knowing, that inner compass and that voice that says, this is who I am, this is what feels true to me, and this is the path that I choose. What comes up for you, Laura?
To
And
me,
then
I
sorry,
can go.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
go on.
Oh,
Go ahead, Sallyann.
it's a just that inner knowing. It's a feeling. It's almost like we're energetic beings that are having a human experience. So it's a feeling. So if we bring our energy back to ourselves and go within our heart and just the heart is a portal to wisdom. And so if we can just spend time, go within our heart and just feel and in our quiet times and take the quiet times and just feel what resonates for us and just allow ourselves to really feel into it. And I think we can use our feelings working through our heart as a compass, almost like as a guide for us to know and to allow messages to come through and know what's right.
Yeah, beautiful. That inner guidance. I love that. Beautiful. Thanks, Sallyann. Laura?
Yeah, the thing that comes to me is the word that sticks out to me is practice. And I say that because I call myself a recovering perfectionist, which means that I used to have no idea what my inner authority was saying, right? Whatever the external world expected of me, that was what I tried to force on myself. And so over the past 10 years or so, it's really been a practice trying to figure out who I am and what my preferences are and step into my power. And I'm getting closer and closer, but I know in the beginning, I would start to do what I thought was listening to myself and just to find out that no, I was still kind of off track. And then so you try again and you get a little bit closer and a little bit closer. But the thing that comes to mind for me is practice because it feels like a constant practice to make sure that I keep coming back to myself and I'm not letting the external world have an excessive influence on my own inner compass.
Yeah, wow. And it is building that, isn't it? When we talk about confidence, that, what Stephanie does is like really building and knowing that we have the ability and we can step into that power. So thank you, Laura. And Stephanie.
Yeah, speaking of confidence, and I am also a recovering perfectionist, Laura. So I know about that, and it's very common in corporate environments. I've been in a corporate space for my entire career, and one of the common topics that I go over is around how to portray yourself as having a lot of confidence. And what I realized and what I learned through a lot of interviews with a lot of different women in my circle and beyond, and through introductions and just from my own experiences, we focus a lot on portraying confidence and acting a certain way, but when it's not being originated from an authentic place, and if it's not internally derived, I call that like your own internal well. If you're not tapping from that source, it's quite fleeting. So you may be able to float above the surface and portray a certain image for a bit of time. And it could be months, it could be years. Um, what I discovered, even with myself, is I was putting on an identity that was expected of me, talk about societal pressures and role pressures that you kind of step into or assigned to you. And it might look great on paper, but there's still an underlying bit of dissatisfaction. So to Laura's introduction, you got to get to the root of it, right? And to me, having and living into your inner authority, you've reached that point when you don't have to explain yourself. You don't need to prove yourself. You're very settled in the direction that you're going in. So that's when I know that I've hit it. I would say the majority of the time maybe I'm still like discovering, and practicing myself.
100%. And how we mask those deeper, I guess, emotions in a way that we need to be perceived a certain way on the outside, but we're really just pushing down what truly is us, authentically us, like you said, that authenticity and living that way. And that can take a lot. It can take a lot of time. It can take a little time. I guess it depends on how willing you are to go and look and feel what's going on beyond the masking of having to show up a certain way for certain people in different environments. And like I remember with like just even in family environments, having to perform like and be a certain way to be accepted, and what's going on underneath all those layers is something that I'm very big at, in exploring and wanting to go deep with to really feel and move, shift so that we can become more of who we are from a heart space, like Sally said, and live from that place. So I love that. I love that. And I wonder if I could ask, well, I can ask because I'm facilitating. Yeah, like over time, this could lead on to this question, what you were just talking about there, Stephanie, is, where have you noticed that you have given away your power? And I know in corporate, that would be a place, a workplace, that you talked about, but perhaps, where you were seeking approval or waiting for permission or doubting your own self, your own wisdom. Can you give our audience any experiences of those times that may resonate with them as well?
Absolutely. I think career pathways is the best example that I can think of. And it doesn't have to be corporate. And we have a number of specialty coaches on the call as well to weigh in here. So I'm curious. I think I've always been really fortunate because I sought out really strong mentors. And I always was given very sound, sage advice from folks who had a lot more experience than I did. And they had specific experiences that I was trying to gain as an up and coming engineer, as a new manager, as a director, right? As I grew and I grew. And what I found was, and this is something, an approach that's commonly made, is you're encouraged to kind of pull the audience. You're encouraged to ask somebody's advice, and it starts blurring the lines on, is this what I really want to do? Or is this their interpretation of what I want to do? And that's really the question that I have to answer. And so I think there's a number of role changes that I've made in corporate. that all panned out to be very successful and not really, regrettable in any way. But I do look back and reflect on how many of those moves were actually driven by my own internal desires, or if it was something that really looked good on paper. So I think career pathways is definitely one area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree. I mean, I'm sure we all do, but that's an area where there's certain expectations too, right? To deliver and who to show up as in that role. And this could go into a whole different area of like, what we identify, who we identify with within that company or that career or that, and we go in with that, and we then have to play that type of, it's not truly who you are and how you want to be in the world. So I love that. Thank you. I see Laura's
Yeah.
unmuted. Yep.
I can add another example. The one that comes to me besides career, because I think that's a really common one,
Mm.
is sometimes in relationships. I know my first marriage that I was in, I very much gave all of my power away and tried to people please. And, it really like stifled my own voice. And even when there were times when I tried to speak up, it just made things more difficult or more challenging. And so over years, I learned just to keep quiet, to not rock the boat and not cause more trouble. And so I think that can be another area where people can struggle to be themselves when they're in a relationship where the other partner um, isn't really a healthy partner.
Yeah, 100%. I get that. And also there's that, honeymoon period, right, where we're on our best behavior. And, whether it's 1 year or 2 years, eventually the cracks appear. And is that person willing to be with you under that pressure and learning really who you are? And again, be supportive of that. So attracting partners that are not aligned with who you are can, oh, that could be soul destroying, right? Soul destroying.
Absolutely. And, and I think another thing with relationships is to watch out for, we talk about like our inner authority and listening to our compass is listening to those red flags. I know for me, and I've heard this from many of my clients before who talk about unhealthy relationships, that there were red flags in the beginning that they just rationalized or they were like, it's okay, it's going to get better or whatever. So
Yeah.
as we're talking about listening to your inner compass, really saying, if you have that little nudge that things aren't right here, like it's okay to listen to that. It's okay to follow that rather than try to squash it and say, no, 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 it's fine. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll work out. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
We'll do the work. La la la. Yeah, I remember my first partner. I was very young, 17, and we had two children together, very young. And, I didn't see the red flags, and I don't know whether there was any now, but I know that that experience shaped who I am today. And I got out of that in within a few years. But it's interesting, isn't it, what we put up with, what we don't see even. And for me, it was about belonging, having somebody that loved me, right? That was more important than being with the right person. He accepted me, right? Whether it was healthy or not, yeah, that's just what we did. So thank you for that piece. Relationships is a really big area as well.
And I think too, with other people can see the red flags often. You know how when somebody goes to get married and then it doesn't work out, and everybody around you says, well, we knew it wasn't going to work out. And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? But of course, we don't listen. And I find the same thing in my coaching clients as well, is they have things that aren't working and they're giving their power away with excuses, things like
Mm.
that. When we make up excuses, we're giving our power away. When we have procrastination. So usually we don't have enough information when we have procrastination, but we're giving our power away because we're not making the decisions we need to make for our business to move forward. We were floundering in our business, but we don't do anything about it. And so we're giving our power away because we're not finding a coach to help us move forward. So all of these things, negative thinking is giving your power away. So we have
Mm.
so many indicators of giving our power away. And yet if we don't have somebody in our lives who can tell us or show us or help us or keep us accountable, we're going to
Mm.
continue to give our power away. So I think these are little leakages. It's like they're a leak in the dike, you know, when you put your finger in the dike. Well, there are lots of holes in that wall and all the water's coming out and soon it'll burst. And that's when people say, I can't do this. I can't do this business anymore. You know, I can't do life anymore. I can't do this relationship anymore. And so that's what happens, is that all of these giving our power away just add up, all these instances, until it becomes too much.
Too much. And I truly hear you there. And at the same time, is that we can actually find ourselves through that process as well. Like really find our inner authority. But
Well,
I
that's
guess
what failure is for. Failure is so
exactly.
that we find ourselves. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a process, right? So it's not anything bad. And I love that piece. But could you share perhaps an example of when you've given your power away?
Yeah, a lot of a lot of times in relationships, in business, and many
Yeah.
times I think we teach what we most need to learn, don't we? And that's
Yes.
the same with everybody. And so I've given my power away. In business, I've taken too many other people's opinions on board instead of looking at them in a broader perspective and saying, okay, well, does this work for me? Is this okay? Do I feel good about this? Will this fill me up? You know, I've taken other people's suggestions on board as if it's my own. And then I go down the track and it's like having a ladder up against the wrong building. You're climbing like the corporate ladder of success, Stephanie. You climb that and then you find this is the wrong building. I've
Yeah.
come to where I thought I wanted to be, but it's the wrong building. And I've had that many times in my life. But of course, you don't learn from your successes. You actually grow from your failures. So if people could actually embrace their failures more, would find that they wouldn't get stuck, because that's giving your power away as well. They've moved
Yeah.
forward.
100%. And not seeing it as a failure, seeing it, oh, for me, it's a blessing. Okay. And we can move through it faster, sooner, quicker when we can, change the script, change the story. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And totally get it when in business, because for me personally, I've had so many coaches, so many different approaches. And at the end of the day, I had to come to realize like not all of them were designed for me. I was allowing them to drive how my business model looked rather than what I wanted for me. And it took a long time, a lot of lessons, a lot of money to get to that point of realizing, oh, this is who I am and this is how I want to, do the world. And it's all at the end of the day, it's all energetic. It's what you're putting out there, your energy and how you attract what you want back in. So Sallyann, please.
So much wisdom here, just wonderful. Yeah, for me, it was I remember giving away my power, my authenticity. Yeah, in a toxic relationship, I lost myself there for some time. And I think, yeah, I was being compliant. I wanted to be loved, and so you just be compliant and give up who you are. And for me, that was probably amplified because I came in here never feeling as though I fitted in. I never ever felt I fitted in. So I was striving very hard to fit in. And so, yes, with family and with a toxic relationship, I gave up who I was to fit in and to, not rock the boat, to be loved. So I thought, but my energy was being sucked dry, particularly in that toxic manipulative relationship. My energy was being sucked dry, and I was slowly but surely losing who I was. And so I remember when I finally got out of that relationship, suddenly I felt so empowered.
Mm,
And it is, and I agree that like that relationship has made me who I am today, and other experiences I've had in my life has made me who I am today. And I believe all those experiences that I've had in my life have made me more equipped to support others on their journey. Because whilst we can have all the training in the world, it's also maturity of experience that can assist us in supporting others on their journeys and being a guide for them and helping them come back to remembering who they are and stepping in their own power. And so it is so liberating to now shine my light and say, this is who I am, and lovingly do that. Like, because many people are not on, the similar path to me, and that's fine. They're having their own journey, and we need to respect that and hold space for them. But honor my own journey, and at the same time hold in respect for others on their journey, and knowing that we are all connected and just coming from that place of love, support, and appreciation, and I think is so important. But it can insidiously happen. I think we can lose our power bit by bit by bit by bit and not realize it, and lose our authenticity of who we truly are. And then coming back into that is exceptionally empowering, but it's not something that just happens. It is a work in progress. And I think for me, it will be a work in progress for the rest of my life, continually, okay, just coming back to myself and what is right for me and how I can support others at the same time in doing that. I think
Yeah,
is
I
important.
love that. I love that. And you sort of just beautifully stepped into the next question about what does it look like on the other side of that, right? And how that, it's beautiful because it's part of the process. And remembering those times when you trusted yourself so deeply that nothing could shake you.
Yeah,
And yeah, so that's absolutely beautiful because I believe it is a lifetime journey. Every day I have to step into my power. Every
yeah.
day I have to, have a little chat and say, yes, you are good enough.
It's not a
You do
destination, it's a journey.
Jenny, you do deserve this, right? And I
Yeah,
and it was evident in the last few days when I'm launching something new, which is totally different to what people know me for. I was like, oh, do I really know it? Like, hang on a minute, I've been living it for the last 40 years, so I have to trust my inner guidance and just step into it,
yeah.
and shaking and all, right? Just do it. And when you get in it and through it, it's like, wow, what was I freaking out about? It's
Mm.
beautiful. People acknowledge that. They see you when you're in your inner authority and you're in your true power. So I'm wondering, for others, how that looked, how, when you stand in your, I'm not saying stood, well, yes, and stand in your power when you do that. What does it feel like? How does it show up in your body, your heart, your spirit, your soul? What does that look like when we keep working to step in?
I think I can start because hearing about energy sucking and energy draining and power leakage, I really like that too. I think about you're just getting further and further away from your needs. So when you are able to work through it and you're really aligned to you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you may not even be conscious of it, right? Um, you're really lit up,
Mm,
right? It's energy fueling.
mm,
You might be running on like 2 or 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and it's like doesn't matter, right? Because you're in this like zone of, well, definitely complete alignment and alignment with your values. And one thing I just wanted to add there, some of the conversations that I have too is back to just knowing your value.
mm,
Most of us, all of us, are in demand for something, right? I'll use myself as an example. There's coaching and one-on-one time, right? 30 minutes on the calendar, 30 minutes on the calendar, 30 minutes on the calendar. That is giving your energy. People are consulting you because they have problems that, thankfully they think that you can help them with, right? Because you
mm,
have some expertise, and that is so rewarding. And at some point, you're off balance because you end up giving and giving and giving and giving. It may bring a smile to your face, but you're exhausted at the end of the day. And so sometimes your pacing is off. It doesn't mean that it's not rewarding work, right? But it means that you're really ignoring your core needs, even if you're doing the work that you really enjoy doing. So I think that there is a balancing act with your needs
mm.
and also finding the things that you like to do, because a lot of things can be overdone. I am guilty of overcommitting, And it's something really easy where I can just ask, like, can we just postpone this talk for 2 weeks? They're like, yeah, absolutely. I just want time with you, right?
Mm.
And it's really no big deal. So so there's always these adjustments that, you can be in control of and you can manage yourself, but nobody's going to do it for you.
100%. My heart is singing to that because how many women overgive? It's it's rooted in our DNA, so to speak. It comes through our, ancestral lines that women are the nurturers. Women are the people who do all the things, take care of the family. And then when we had to start working, that on top of it. So it's just been driving us and how, for me, my calendar is blocked. I don't know how you do it, Stephanie, but I have specific me time where no one can book a call. And I've had to learn this from experience, but I'm very clear about my time of working and my time of me. And, it's that balance, right? Because that's how I get back into alignment. When I can align within, I can give more from a place of heart and soul and be present, fully present, and not be drained because it is energy sucking when we're seeing all these. I have done it in the past, back to back calls, like, ugh, I wasn't serving anybody. So we all learn from this, don't we? Um, who else would like to pipe in there?
Yeah, I
Laura?
can jump in. And I think when I'm in that space where I'm really in my authority, it feels easier. And I find that I can put up these energetic boundaries more effectively. If there's somebody who disagrees with me, then I can let that go. I can let them be wrong without feeling like I have to convince them otherwise, right? I can say, no, I know that this is true for me, or I know that this is the best decision for me. And they can think whatever they want, and that's okay. And we can go on.
Mm.
And I know that's very different from the past when I wasn't in tune with my inner authority, where I doubted myself and I felt like, well, I needed to convince them that what I was doing was okay or else it wasn't okay, right? But I think when you're in alignment with yourself, they can have a different opinion and that's fine. They can think there's a better way to do it and that's fine. They can be angry and that's not about you, that's about them. And so I think of this ease and being able to put up these energetic boundaries when I think about being in that space.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And there's so much peace in that, isn't there? Did you
Yes,
feel
yes.
that peace?
Hmm.
Like, massively. Like, we don't have to defend ourselves. We know who we are
Yeah.
at the core of our being, and that's okay. Everyone's got the right to their opinion when we know this. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thanks for sharing that piece, Laura. Scale jumping in.
So, what's on the other side of hell? Freedom.
Yes.
It's like because you do. When things are overwhelming, when you're trying to get things done, when you're just working, 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 it feels like hell. So, what's on the other side of that? I want to tell you it's freedom. But maybe you're doing it just maybe got to tweak it a little bit. Because what's on the other side of overwhelm is flow. And what's on the
Mm,
other side of just trying and trying, trying is allowing. And so
mm.
sometimes it's like we just have the wrong end of the stick. Same conversation, but we're looking at it from a different perspective. So I have clients all over the world and I love traveling. I travel all, all the time. I don't even have a home. I'm continually traveling. I just love it. I know that's not for everybody, but we have 7 kids and I had to wait. I was a stay-at-home mum and I wanted to wait until they'd all left home. Well, they did. Come 2020, it was like my last child finished school and it was yes. And it was COVID.
Lockdown.
Couldn't go anywhere for a few years. And it was like, oh. So I'd been planning this escape. I know people go through empty nest. That didn't happen for me. I was, yes, I can't wait to feel free. And I think you begin to, when you're so bogged down, you don't have direction. And I think you need to find an open direction that gives you something to draw you. I know Viktor Frankl said that you need three things in life to have meaning and purpose. One is you need to have a project to look forward to. You need to have somebody who loves you, and you need to be able to handle the things that go wrong. And so often in our society, we can't handle the things that go wrong. If say a business scenario, if something goes wrong and we don't get the contract, we fall into a heap. And it's like, that's not where you want to be. It's the other side of that you want to be. It's an opportunity that opens up. And the interesting thing is, when you're rich, you don't pay for anything. But when you're poor, you pay for everything.
Yeah.
And so people want to give you opportunities. People want to open doors for you. People want to meet you when you're in that successful, feeling successful. I mean, success doesn't have to be money. Success is a feeling. So when you're feeling successful, doors open for you. Things feel great. The sun is shining. Life feels wonderful. That's to me what it's like on the other side of what you don't want.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And you know, that stepping into her before you are her is what comes to me there. It's like feeling the feelings. That's like it's the missing link where people are so in the head all the time, feeling down about not having enough and not being able to do this, that, and the other. But hey, what about if you start practicing stepping into her, stepping into that wise woman that you are and live from that place, change the frequency, change the energy, and opportunities then come. And I know for me that was true as a single mom of four. I had to change my vibration to actually be able to provide for these children, or die. Basically, that was where it was at for me. And I get it, Gail. My last child of four went to live with his dad to do year 11 and 12 here in Australia. It is the last 2 years of high school. And I was like, yes, freedom. So I packed up my 4-bedroom house, put it in storage, and went on a road trip to Byron, where we are now, where I reside, and got a house in the country. You open the back door and you're sitting on the throne looking at the cows. It was a whole different lifestyle, and I was living this dream, and then suddenly it didn't work out with his dad. So, he came back, which was all good. It was fine, but it was like, okay, get a job, do some courses, and it's such a beautiful feeling though, that freedom, and you've done your job, right? I couldn't imagine 7. So thank you for sharing that. Sallyann.
Yeah, I mean, that is so true. Just live it and feel it, because everything is frequency and vibration. And so even if you don't think you're quite there, just living it, putting it out there and feeling it, you will draw that frequency that matches to you, because everything is about resonance. So that resonance will come to you. So you will draw that frequency to you of being successful and achieving and having that lifestyle and that you want. And also being in that vibration, people come to us that are in a similar vibration. Like, we draw like-minded people to us because, again, we're drawing similar vibrations, similar energies. So we draw people to us that are in that similar vibration. So absolutely. So putting yourself out there, pulling in that frequency, will draw those experiences to us and bring that flow into our lives. I think, yeah, very important. Absolutely.
Absolutely beautiful. And I'd love that piece that Stephanie talked about around having, and my mind's going all, but also want to say that's why we're here together, number one, but also the piece that Stephanie was talking about, surrounding yourself with mentors that have gone before you. And I was in the past, more recent past, a few years back, through the COVID period, I was a youth worker and supporting youth, and I will never forget the disappointment when that youth centre shut down, because we were their lifeline. That's all they knew outside of, like, their home lives were just tragic, and we were their core, people. And when that happened, I got very upset and sad, and till I realized, you know what? We've actually made a difference. We've actually given them the skills that are different from what they get at home to be able to have that for the rest of their life. And when I've seen them in the street at times, like I see they're being successful. So it wasn't all in vain. It was a period of time that, gave them our energy, our support, our love, our safety. Like there's another thing around safety and security, right? To be able to express ourselves and the skills, the cooking and all the things we did with them so that they could be equipped to move out in the world. And I see them and I think, wow, that is just beautiful. It wasn't, just all in vain. But yeah, this piece around mentorship is I feel having some people that if you haven't got to have a coach, to have support, because support is your superpower. And Stephanie, I know you want to jump in, go for it.
Yeah, I want to add on to what I'm hearing too, because I think you're right. A lot of times we're just overthinking it and we're overcommitting and we're very much in our heads, right? And I'm a very heady person too, but it's more of a feeling. Success is a feeling, like Gail is saying, right? And you'll become elated. The joy will be expressed on your face, your body language. It'll be quite apparent. And to Sallyan's point, you know, you do need to, I think when you are able to quiet the mind or at least like get back into your body for a period of time, the clarity comes and you start realizing that isolating is not the answer, right? So putting out that vibrational energy so that you can call upon all the different, dots in the universe, all these different people who have been in and out of your lives, not necessarily just even like close people like mentors, of course that's probably the easiest to reach, but people you haven't thought about in years, right? Hey, I thought about you. And that made me want to reach out to you through this text or this call or this, LinkedIn message or what have you. They're going to be really touched and you have no idea what they're going through, right? And right there, that's a connection. And you may have been putting yourself out there because you wanted support or guidance or something specific that you had in your mind, and you have no idea what you'll stumble into, but you'll know that it was really meant to be. And people talk about like, oh, it's such a coincidence. Oh, it's so spontaneous. But I actually believe that it's really about that vibrational energy. Like we were on the same wavelength at the same time. And it just so happened that we reconnected. I met somebody new. I have a new client, all of those things, right? And so sometimes it's like not about just like wishing in your mind and being super analytical and making all these different spreadsheets, right? It's about like really putting that energy out into the universe.
Yeah, I love that. It's dropping into your heart and just operating from there instead of the head all the time and attracting, do you notice that some of it for people have clients, that you attract people that have been through very similar situations that we've been through? It's phenomenal. Like I can relate. Yeah, I totally relate. It's so beautiful. Laura?
Yeah, I wanted to add to this, we're talking about success as a feeling, and I just wanted to add a bit to that and how we can tell it's a feeling because there are people that by most measures we would say are successful, whether they have money or they have a career or whatever it is, and they don't feel successful and they don't feel good about themselves, right? And then there are other people who may not be what we would generally call successful, but they are living their best life and enjoying it and in their own power. And so I just wanted to speak to that. We know that it's a feeling because if it was a measure of money or status or whatever, then everybody at that income or status or whatever it is would feel it, and that's not the case at all.
Yes, true, true, true. The most successful people in the world. I've known, or for some, I've noticed have actually been the most unhappiest, like the people with the most money, the most unhappiest. So that's such a big piece, isn't it? We think that they're happy and they portray that happiness on the outside, but deep down they're so lonely and
We've got to remember though that money doesn't make
isolated.
us unhappy.
Sorry?
We've got to remember though that money doesn't make us unhappy.
No, Gail, I'm hearing you, right? I'm hearing you. Absolutely. It rates up there with oxygen if you don't have it, right? We need it. It's a currency that we exchange now. And talking of money, we can give more, we can do more, we can help more, we can support more. And I like in the spiritual community where I used to come from, I used to think it was like these are some of all the limiting beliefs and blocks that I had to remove. I used to think it was, you know, oh, so destructive to have money. Like it wasn't spiritual to have money. And what, I had to, no, 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 I couldn't accept that money because I was like, had to be a spiritual being living a life with on peanuts, So I've been there and now I know I'm on the other side. So everything has a flip side. And if we can uncover those deeply embedded limiting beliefs and we can have more. And like you said, it's not just about money, but it is at the end of the day, if we haven't got it, we can be wealthy in so many other ways. So I'm excited for the
Can I
future.
add to that, Joe?
Yeah, 100%.
And this is so funny because we were like, historically talking about the topics the taboo topics, right? Money being one of them. Let's
Yes.
do it. I just want to add too, in full agreement with what you guys are saying, where you put your money really matters too, right? How you circulate that money into the economy and
Mm-hmm.
not just the market economy, but in your own network, how you spend your money and where you give your money and where you shop and where you don't shop. It really does matter. And supporting small businesses, supporting, up and coming solopreneurs, right? Giving them money, like that actually, that's really like what we're talking about there. That is also putting it out into the universe and putting your well intentions out into the universe. And yeah, I just wanted to touch on
Yeah.
that one and also go back to measures of success, right? Laura's saying we know that it's not necessarily wealth. We know that those traditional markers aren't what, are representative of people being happy. And
Mm.
one marker that I'll leave the group with to think about, I have a scale and it's really an aliveness scale. On a scale of 1 to 5, how alive do I feel in this moment right now? What's contributing to that or what's detracting from that? And I want to be up there and I may not be there all the time, but it makes me pause and understand what's happening in my life and what's happening in my body and in my thoughts, of course. But the aliveness scale is something that I talk about on podcasts. And the one that just came to me now, and I'm curious about what your thoughts are, is just a measure of how much you genuinely love yourself. Because we're saying that a potential common thread is your self-respect and knowing your worth. So if you're coming from a place where you genuinely love yourself, maybe those people are the happiest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I add to that? I,
100%.
I'm I'm so glad that you touched on self-love because I am, one of the things that I often talk about is that self-love, self-compassion, self-respect, that is what heals us, right? And early on we talked about, being in these toxic relationships or in these toxic communities or, environments that aren't helpful for us, and that really weighs on us and drags us down. And I truly believe that it is the self love and self compassion that is how we heal ourselves from those things. And that is the measure of success, right? How much do you love yourself? How much can you prioritize yourself? How much can you say, what do I need? And can I really be honest with myself about what I need rather than trying to fit myself into this space that society tells me about what I need?
Mm. Oh, it's such an imperative part, isn't it? Such a very important part of self-love and also, touching on the money piece again is that it's just energy, right? And how we treat ourselves is how we treat everything. How we treat people, our community, our clients, our money, respecting that, giving it in places that deserve it. I'm 100% with you on that one, Stephanie, and it goes hand in hand with self-love, self-respect. So thank you for bringing both of those pieces. Anyone else? Gayle?
Yeah, the aliveness scale that Stephanie was talking about, we have something in one of our books too, Six Dimensions of Healing, and it talks about how to get anything that you're doing up to a 10, like you were saying, the aliveness scale. So even if you're going for a walk, what would you rate that at? Am I walking at a 3 or a 4? How can I make it a 5? Maybe I'll go a bit faster. I'll use my arms. I'll breathe differently. So it's moving that up to a 10. So just reflecting on that each day and sort of saying, well, where am I on this scale? How am I feeling about this on your aliveness scale? And upping the ante, because you want to be a little bit better than you were yesterday, and a little bit better and a little bit better. And even when you get to 10, there's a whole other scale over that. I know my coach was telling me when he made his first 1.25 million, is a lot more than that now, but he was worried because he came from a poor background that he was going to lose it all. But his coach says, no, you put that 1 million away, you put it away, you spend that next 250,000 on whatever you want, you can blow it if you want. But you'll know that you always are a millionaire because you have that million tucked away. And it's not that I'm saying to people to squirrel away, but you need to feel that millionaire mindset, and the mindset, like we were talking about success, doesn't come from having things or money. But of course, money helps, because when you do have it, you feel more free, because you can buy what you want. You can pay for your health, pay for your health bills. You can, take your family on holidays. You can make a difference in the world. You can give to people in Africa in their school, like I do. And so it makes a difference. And success is a measure of how you feel. And also a part of how you feel is having money. So money and spirituality are aligned, because what you were saying is that's a feeling, and anything that's a feeling is spiritual. So because, like Sallyann was saying, we're people in a body having a spiritual journey, or having a physical journey, with spiritual having a physical journey, then we're here, everything we do, see, be, touch, feel is spiritual, because you can't take that aspect out of it. So if people are having trouble with the money aspect, understand that's a part of your spirituality that you're not looking at, and it becomes a part of your shadow side that you need to embrace.
Whoa, 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 whoa. This conversation has gone way deeper than I expected, and I love it. I love it. I love it, because it's all interrelated. It's so true. And like mostly what we can't see, the invisible, is where the magic is, right? Oh, how much time we got? Okay, so did anyone else, Sallyann, did you want to pipe in with anything around that piece?
Look, I agree totally. And it's about embracing everything. And yes, money is just, I think, as you said, Jo, it's just an energy. So just embracing everything, not getting fixated or hoarding or trying to control. But it's important to allow flow, so important to allow that energetic flow, and be mindful of where the energy is going at all times, and just allow that energetic flow to come through into us and through us, because we are energy. And so just allowing that flow. And yes, if there are issues that are flagged, and I think, yeah, money is, we could go down a real rabbit hole here, but yeah, obviously sort of looking at that, because the more we can gain clarity, the more we can then allow that flow. The more we can gain clarity, the more we can remove blocks, and just allow that flow to come through and have that awareness. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, awareness is a big piece, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Always. Yeah, and looking what's coming up for you in any situation or any challenge, where's that coming from? And often it's outside of ourselves, or the stories we're telling ourselves. It's
It
not
is.
truly who we are, is it? It's
that belief system, like we take on these beliefs. And so what tends to happen is, when there's an incident of any sort, we screen it through our belief system. Like, you think of, say, like, imagine a screen door. You screen it through your screen door of beliefs before you respond to it.
Yeah.
So you will screen it through your screen door or your sieve of beliefs that you've taken on before you will have a response.
Yeah.
Those beliefs are held deep within our subconscious. So it's a matter of working on that and being able to move those beliefs out and understand that, you know, there are beliefs that are unhealthy. So recognizing that and then realizing that they are not who we really are. Yeah, to be able to move forward, just releasing or not releasing, but there are work we do actually through quantum consciousness where we can assist people in just removing those and tapping into who they truly are. And there's lots of other, you know, ways that can be done as well. Yeah.
100% questioning those stories, those beliefs, and rewiring them or moving them through however it is that you do it. And I'm sure all of us have techniques to be able to support people. If you're watching and you need that support, then please reach out, because all the links will be down below in the comments. And I also did prepare some reflection questions for journaling, or which I'll pop into the thread, and you can do that in your own time, which can help you really tap into, you know, who you truly are. And for now, just really putting your hand on your heart and your solar plexus, really, and asking, if my inner authority had a voice, what would it say to me right now? What would it say to me? Does anyone feel that you are enough? You've got this.
Deserving.
You deserve this. Yes. What else?
And knowing. Sometimes we
Knowing.
don't think we know. I talk to clients all the time where I ask them a question and they say, I don't know. Sometimes I'll say, let it simmer for let it sit, right? And then try again. So often we know the answer if we just pause to listen and settle.
Listen and settle. Yeah, I love that. And I always say, if you did know, what would that be?
I like that. I like that.
As a follow-up. Yeah, beautiful.
All resources are available. It's all there. We just need to tap in and believe it. We have all the resources within us.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think similar to that, you're in your own good hands. I'm in my own good hands.
Yeah. You are your inner authority. Yeah, that's beautiful. So any last words of wisdoms, and I'll pop the reflection, as I said, I'll pop them into the chat later, as a follow-up for you to go deeper and feel into your body, feel into your emotions, feel into your energy. And I find, reflection is such an important piece. And, just to write a few things to download and let go, because in those times you can actually really also rewire those beliefs and remember who you are from that place. So please, and also if you want to share your own insight, your own truths from today's call or tonight, somewhere in tonight, please drop them in the comments. But any of you ladies want to have any last words of wisdom for our audience?
Yeah, I'd like to, when Sallyann was talking about beliefs, it's like people need to know that beliefs aren't something you're born with. You're actually not born with beliefs. You actually adopt them. All through life, we adopt beliefs and we adjust them as we go along. But even if our beliefs don't support us, we think they're real because we find evidence. Like if I believe that people are against me, I'm going to find evidence of that everywhere. And that reinforces my belief. But all you're doing is attracting what you believe. So if you can understand that, because I think that's one of the biggest ways people give away their power. And so we've come full circle, because this is about giving away your power again. And your beliefs can be changed. And in fact, if you want a different life, your beliefs have to change. Not they can or they must, but they have to, because if you keep programming the same thing all the time, you're going to get the same output.
Yes, so true. And a lot of my work is based around that, is, finding what's driving you and rewiring that from, the neurological level. But my new program is by the way, I'm Jo Anne Irwin. I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, I just realized. And I have actually just opened up a new program around money mindset and magical manifestation, which is quite a new area for me, even though it drives everything. And the reason I've come to this is because I realize all my clients, it's a big part. They're always in this scarcity. Well, not always, but they feel like they don't ever have enough. So yeah, this conversation's been absolutely beautiful, and I would love for anyone that has any offers to also share if you feel called to. But I know that your links will be in the comments as well for people to contact. Stephanie?
I'll just add on, it can be so powerful when you're trying to rewrite your stories to jot down what's going through you, because I truly believe, and a lot of the work that I do is around ditching the old stories that aren't serving us anymore, writing new ones where we're the star and we are successful, right? And we're loved. And you're right, like Gail, you have to put on a different mindset if you're going to make any change, right? You're trying these same things over and over and over again and not getting anywhere. And so my path towards publishing my story was deeply therapeutic and deeply shifted the way that I decided to look at things and carry on with my life. So I do encourage, if you haven't had the chance to write some stories down, what's the worst that can happen? Just give it a try.
100%. And you have published, is it a book or a paper or?
Yes. So the story is in the book called Brave Women at Work, Lessons in Confidence. And it's a women's anthology, different authors from different industries. So it's really not industry specific, just sharing their real world experience in navigating changes in their lives and making changes in their lives.
Beautiful, beautiful. You can drop that link in too later. That would be wonderful to check out. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that if people are stuck, if you're finding that you're just spinning your wheels, then get coaching.
Yeah.
You really need coaching because it'll help take you to the next level. Sometimes you can't see what is hidden. So
Blind spots.
yeah. So get coaching. Go to sixdimensionsofhealing.com and you can find your own business archetype, and it will show you the areas that are your strengths and your weaknesses.
Yeah. Great advice. Thank you, Gayle.
I can so relate to writing your story. I was guided to write my story. It took me on and off 20 years, and I finally was a long on and off journey. And I wrote a memoir with my story in it, and I found it exceptionally healing, and also just liberating. It brought forward insights, healing, and it got it out of me and on paper. And I found that very, very, very healing. And I'd just like to offer for a limited time a complimentary 30-minute soul healing session via Zoom, if anybody would like that for a limited period. So just for a limited time, 30-minute soul healing session via Zoom. If people contact me, then we can set that up. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure that link will be in the comments for people to access. Thank you very much, Sally. It's very generous, because our time is money, right?
Yeah.
I also agree, because I was asked to co-author in a book, and it was very scary for me because of the past and history and family and blah blah blah. But I went to that place and just felt into it, and it was beautiful. My chapter was called A Gift in Challenges. And yeah, it was just such a healing process for me. So I'll have to agree with that. It's a beautiful.
Yeah.
And also, another little hack I want to share is just quickly is to write a love letter to yourself. Write a love letter to yourself. What
Yeah.
would you say to that soul self, that authentic being, that beautiful wise woman inside? What would you tell her? How fantastic she is, how beautiful she is, how much success she's had. Because we don't always think about what was being good about our life. We often default back to what has happened, those places that have built those limiting beliefs and all the things. But a love letter, Laura.
Love letter, absolutely. And how far you've come. Just think like, oh, sometimes I think personally, oh, I'm not getting anywhere or whatever. But then, little voice says to me, well, think about how far you've come. What have you achieved over the last 12 months? So think back how far you have come, and also that you're never, ever alone. And I think sometimes we can feel lonely, and particularly with the world rushing by, but also we're never, ever alone.
No, exactly. I love that.
I
Lara.
like that. And to add one more of those kind of empowerment tools or empowerment hacks, something that I often use with myself and clients is, a lot of times we'll feel like we're stuck, right? That we're stuck in this job or we're stuck in this relationship or that we don't have any choices. I usually encourage people to reframe it, and myself as well, as okay, we're never stuck. We always have a choice. It could be that all the other options are worse than this one. But even if we do the exact same thing that we're doing now, for us to say, I chose this because all the other options were worse versus I'm stuck here and I can't do anything, that's just such a different feeling. And so that's another hack that I use for myself. If I ever catch myself feeling like I'm stuck, it's like, I'm not stuck at all. I have a choice. I could choose things that have bigger consequences or don't work for me or aren't aligned with me, but I absolutely have a choice. And this is what I'm choosing. Or sometimes the answer is no, I have a choice and I need to move on, right? But either way, you're choosing, you're never stuck.
Yeah, I love that. 50 ways to become unstuck. Just came in. 50 ways. Okay, 50 ways to make money. Okay, just throwing that out there. Yeah, so this circle has just been beautiful and an invitation for you to come home to your power again, right? And not from a place of force or control, but from a place of authentic expression from your soul. So thank you, ladies, for sharing your soul, your heart and soul with us and our audience. And it's been a beautiful conversation. I think we could talk around this for days, but for now we're going to end maybe part 2. And thank you all for joining us. And I really look forward to the next Wisdom Circle to continue this conversation. So thank
you,
you.
Jo.
Lots of love, everybody.
Thank you all.